Welcome to the Char Chit Chat, a podcast exploring all things biochar related, coming to you from a small sheep and tree farm in the deep south of New Zealand. Hi Gerard, thank you for joining me today for a chat. I'd like to start by asking, where are you currently residing?
Burma Road, Tapora, which is west of Wellsford, out on the Kaipara. Yeah, north of Auckland. Been here for 3 years. We're coastal, mangroves, sheep and beef.
Okay. And where do you say you are from?
We had a far coastal property in Waikowau Valley, north of Awakino, when I was young, and we kept that for a long time, but I think my parents moved to Pukekohe when we sort of got high school age because there was no high schools down there. So based out of there, I farmed in Tikawiti for quite a few years. Then I went off and did business for 30 odd years, and now I'm back farming again.
All right. What age bracket do you fit into?
Retirement bracket.
And what keeps you busy these days?
I turned 65 and I bought a retirement block, 550 hectares.
Why so big?
It was an accident. No, It's lovely. I'm really enjoying it, so it's good. There's a lot to do. We've got a heap of coastline to fence off and plant, and yeah, you get a bit of help from the government. They think they're doing more than they are, but that's all right. We've done over 10 kilometres of new fencing since we've been here in 3 years.
Okay. And so how many of those 550 hectares are you actually farming?
Well, a bit less now because we're fencing bits off. We've probably got 460 odd effective at the time you take out your patches of bush and your harbour side that we're leaving behind, and yeah.
And what kind of plantings are you doing?
Planted 1,300 putakawa so far, about the same of kahikatea. Also got internal shelter belts that we're doing, some Lombardis, some Veronese poplars, few poplars, rare varieties of poplars.
Yes.
Not many willows. I'm sort of doing a few specimen weeping willows here and there when I can, if I can keep the animals off them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're quite exposed. You know, look at my bedroom window here right across the harbour. It's pointing to the southwest. So, you know, when it blows from the southwest, it comes straight in here. And my son was right into the idea of doing regenerative. So I'm here with Jake. He's my son.
And is he full-time on the farm now?
Yeah, he went away last year for a year and did a year on a big station down Hawke's Bay, but he's back now. A good experience for him. He hadn't actually done a lot.
Was that a regenerative one, or was that a conventional one?
No, that was just a conventional one. Before that, before we actually took the farm over, he was with Peter Barrett down in Ranfurly for almost a year. Peter, he has a regenerative seed place and it's a big station. He's doing the regen down there.
Okay. Can you tell us about your interest in biochar?
Well, when you start doing the regen thing, it's about soil carbon. So that's just another soil carbon. Like the multi-species is supposed to deposit exudates into the soil. Biochar for our scale and what we're doing, I think is probably a big call, but I certainly want to make some and play with it. We've been feeding it to the animals. I tried putting it through the sprayer, but I couldn't get it fine enough. But apparently I need to wet it down and then grind it up. So I'll get on that when I'll get another go. I made a couple of 44-gallon drums into biochar kilns. So I had two 50-litre containers on the inside, 1.5, cut in half and jammed together, and I'd fill those up. And then I'd put those in the middle, then I'd put firewall around the outside, a chimney at the top. So they've worked quite well for the last 12 months, but one's now burnt out and the other one's not far behind. So I'm in the process of making a bigger one.
Yeah.
I done quite a bit of reading up on it, and I found a study in WA they did where they put 10 tonnes per hectare and got an amazing response. So they put another 10 tonnes per hectare and almost doubled the response.
Wow.
So, you know, if we're doing 10 tonnes per hectare over 450 hectares, that's a lot of 10 tonnes, isn't it?
Yes, you need a few more barrels.
We need a few 44-gallon drums to do that. So
yeah.
Yeah, so my plan is I've got one paddock in front of the house here, which is multi-species, and it's probably the worst one of the lot. I've given it extra biology, and it just doesn't seem to want to fire. So I thought I'll just start putting it on there once I get this kiln going. I'll give that a good dose. See if I can get that working.
Yeah, and that's probably the best strategy is to aim for 10 tonne a hectare on your worst 5 hectares first, and then the next 5 and the next 5. And if you're getting amazing responses, then maybe it will be paying for itself, even if even if you're having to freight it in and buy it from someone else. If the response is enough that you're actually economically better off, well, then it's great, right?
Yeah. It will be expensive though if you're doing, what's that, 450? That's at 4,500 tonnes, is it? At 10 tonne a hectare? Is that right?
If you do heaps and heaps, if you did 10 hectares, then you're looking at 100 tonne, which would be quite a few truckloads. But yeah.
But I mean, when you look at it, you look at all the slash and it all gets washed down the creeks and clogs up the beaches these days. That could easily be made into biochar if there was a system that promoted it.
Yes.
Wouldn't need government initiative, but I can't see them doing that. They don't even recognize. Our government doesn't recognise soil carbon. In Australia, you can put 10 or 15 tonnes per hectare of carbon into the soil and get paid for it. You can't here.
Yes.
Because our government doesn't recognise it. I wrote to all the MPs and told them so.
Good.
It's for something to do one day. Took me a good day. But yeah.
But that's exactly what we need. We need lots and lots of people keep sending that message in, and eventually they will catch on. It's just a matter of time and the number of people who keep doing it. Yeah.
Right. That's right. We don't need to be planting pine trees. We can just put it straight into the soil. You don't need without the trees and keep farming.
Yeah.
But you've got to stop rotary hoeing and single species and chemical farming's got to go away before you can do that. You can't do that chemical farming.
Yeah, true. And what do you think about the multi-species? When you have to put that in, you have to do a lot of cultivation. Does it last, like where you don't have to keep doing that frequently?
Well, we're 3 years in now with some of it, and it looks pretty good. Jake still thinks it's a little bit sparse in places, which it is, but it's better than it was last year. I just think every year, like when you seed a paddock and do it, like if you rip it up and seed it and redo it, it takes a couple of years for it to settle down. Not amazing straight away,
Yeah.
In my experience anyway.
And you have to be prepared to let it all go to seed at some point so that it can reseed itself, right?
Kind of doing that right now, actually. I did it last summer.
Yes.
We've got the ewe lambs down there on it now. We've got, I don't know what we've got there, probably 60, 70 hectares probably of good multi-species. Hickory and plantain and red clovers, and we put a lot of stuff in there, but a lot of it's not lasting,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess nature's way of doing things is if you put 20 seeds there and nature says it only needs 10 of those plants to do the job, well, then that's when the other 10 don't last long.
Yeah. But I'm seeing stuff come up that I sort of seeded a couple of years ago, and I'm just driving through a paddock the other day going, oh, look, there's quite a bit of red clover through here, and there's a bit of chicory. And I've tried broadcasting. I did a whole lot last year and got nailed. We worked out it was the crickets that did it because we had a cricket plague with the dry. So that was, but I had some old seed that needed to go out, so I thought, I'll just broadcast it, and put the animal just in front of the animals, and they'll walk it in. But no, that didn't work that successfully. We've done a bit more of that in the spring and seem to have had a bit better result. But, yeah.
Do you think there's any chance of putting those seeds through animals and letting them deposit it out on the pasture, or do you think the seeds will get broken down in their room?
I saw a lady doing that last autumn, and that was part of what I did. So I had biochar. Jake went to a field day and they were just feeding charcoal straight to the kettle, and they were just munching away on it. Yeah. So biochar, I had some multi-species seed. I had humates, which we put on in our bio spray, and salt, and I just sort of mixed that up sort of in the barrels and I put it out in the paddock. There was some that popped up in the cow poo, but not heaps. So this lady showed this thing I saw online. She had every cow poo was full of full of fresh young plants, but just didn't seem to fire the same. But like I say, the seeding didn't work either. And my neighbour drilled it, and he didn't. He had a pretty disastrous result last year too. So
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you
Sometimes the soil moisture has to be just right for the between the time when the seeds go in and if the soil moisture is not right at the right time, I think a lot of seeds just don't fire.
Well, I was working on the theory that it's dry, and when it rains, and it did. We went from dust farmers to mud farmers in 2 weeks after Easter, but we had pretty much no rain from the middle of December till after Easter. 10 mils, 12 mils, that doesn't do anything.
No.
Been much better this year.
Okay, good. Yeah. All right. Well, tell me a little bit more about the biochar making then. What sort of biomass are you using to burn?
I'm using pellets. Every time I go to town, there's a half a dozen sitting outside farmlands, so I grab those.
Yes. I
cut off anything that doesn't have nails in it and put it in the thing, and the stuff that has nails on the outside, that's what you burn. And I'm getting, I don't know, probably a wheelbarrow full per time when I do it in that thing. So what I've got now is I've got a big old diesel tank, and I've got an old petrol tank, which is a bit smaller, which I'm going to put inside of it. What I really want to do is get the wood vinegar, because currently what I do is you do it, you light the outside, and it starts going, and then once the inside starts to burn, I've got two 50-litre drums. I've cut one in half, and I've split the edges, and I stuff them together, so they're almost the height of the 200-litre drum that they're sitting in. I put a couple of boards underneath so the flame gets underneath, but right around the bottom I dug holes. So when the wood inside the inside chamber starts to pyrolyse, you can hear the gas going. It just starts to roar.
Yeah.
And then once that happens and it's finished roaring, you pretty much know you're finished. I keep poking a few little bits of wood around the top, but once that really gets going and it's burning with the gas. But so what I want to do next is actually catch that gas, take it out and condense it, and then you take all the solids out, which is your wood vinegar and your tar and whatnot, and then you can put leftover gas back underneath the pyrolysing chamber and use that for more heat.
Yeah. Cool. And that would be a great thing to share once you've got that worked out and you've got the angles of the pipes in the right places and it's all dripping out where you want it to drip out. That's the thing we need you to share so that other people can do it, because there's a little bit of a trial and error, a little bit of engineering and science in that. Yeah.
Not enough wet days. We've been doing it since the winter. It's only half done. So anyway, we're getting there slowly. Yeah.
So are you able to weld, or your son's able to weld and fabricate?
Oh, I weld, but I've got a guy here who does it as well. That's sort of his wet weather day job. So he goes in there and does a bit of welding. I've done a little bit. I'm too busy chasing everybody else around the place right now. So, you see these guys doing it in big pits, but yeah, that's okay if you're doing a bit for doing some cropping or something and you haven't got a huge area to do. But I think Jake thinks I'm a bit mad. That's all right. We'll get a bit going. What they've got in the Amazon, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Where they're finding all that stuff that's thousands of years old and it's still extremely fertile, that the natives did many millennia ago.
Yeah. Okay, so you're still working on Jake and converting him to be passionate about biochar.
Oh, no, he's keen to put it in the feed. Yeah. He's looking for something the other day. We've got some more to put in the feed. And I said, well, you're just going to have to use the humates for now, because those old kilns aren't that good now, and I need to get this other one finished. So we'll give it a big push one of these days.
Yeah. And do you have other, like, wood trash and prunings and stuff from the farm, branches and all that kind of thing?
We could do if we were looking. I actually tried with the 200-litre system with some carnuka, because we've got a lot of carnuka. Yeah. Especially after the storm a couple of years ago, we had it lying everywhere. And yeah, it struggled to, didn't actually fully pyrolyse. I didn't leave it in there long enough, or it needed a lot more fire around it than the pine does.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff's dry. It's being thrown out, so I'm just picking it up and it's easy, Yeah. Once I get this thing going, yeah, maybe we'll have to go for something more local just around the farm.
Yeah. Did you try any other methods of making biochar before the steel drums?
No, not really. I just watched up people doing it. I didn't like the idea of making a pit. They make a pit like a big fire and then they wet it down, you still got all your ash and stuff through it. But I mean, it's, each to their own. There's lots of people doing that.
I mean, that's more appropriate for horticulture or the pasture use. If you want to feed it to livestock, it needs to be much like cleaner and nicer and more uniform and not full of sand and stones and all that kind of stuff.
Ash and no, you're right.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, they munch it up. You put it in I put it with the salt and everything else, and they just, and that, like I say, Jake went to that field day and he said the cows were just standing there chewing big lumps of it. So.
Yeah. Okay, and so how many seasons or how many months or years have you been feeding it to the livestock?
Probably really only seriously last season. Last autumn, I did it for 3 months, probably 4 months.
Okay.
And I've tried to grind it up because we do a biology spray. We've got a 1,000 litre Chaos sprayer from Chaos Farms over in Waihi.
Yeah.
Steve, the American guy, makes a nice machine, and it's got like I think the smallest is an 8 mil, and it goes through to a 12 mil jet, and it comes up and hits a fan and just sprays out, so you can put bits through it,
Yes.
So we have 1,000 litre sprayer. We put 10 to 15 litres of seawater to try and get some cyanobacteria out there. We put 30 litres of humate, 30 litres of lime, 15 litres of compost extract. I've been throwing in a little bit of dolomite to go with the lime, so we get a bit of magnesium going with it. And we put in fish hydrolysate from Agrasea.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's just to stimulate the, and if we get the wood vinegar, we'll be putting a dollop of wood vinegar in each dose. You see, that stimulates the fungus in the soil, which is what we're trying to do.
And what did you use to grind up the char?
Yeah, well, that was my problem. I didn't get it quite right. I tried putting it through a chipper, and it just turned to dust and blew away in the breeze.
Yes.
I'm one of those char chat things. So I asked them, they said, "Oh no, you've got to wet it down." So I'm like, "All right, so I've got to wet it down." I kind of worked it out myself by the time it all blew away. So yeah, I've done a bit of soak, but then after that I started feeding it to the cattle, so that I'll just feed it to the cattle because you've got to inoculate it essentially. So if I'm putting it into the biology spray, it'll be getting inoculated, and if you put it through a cow, it's getting inoculated. But if you just throw it on the soil, it takes quite a while for the biology to get into it, if you know what I mean.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
I've been studying that up on that online too. So
yeah, I found with the putting it through a chipper, the moisture content is critical, and too wet it jams up, and too dry just creates a big black cloud of dust. And then if your sprayer can only do up to a certain mils, then you probably need to screen it, put it through a sieve or something.
Yeah, we've got that goes in. Yeah, usually
otherwise it must be a pain in the bum when it jams up when you're trying to spray a paddock, right?
Yeah, usually I put the compost in the top in that, so I can just add it to that probably. I mean, you can put the biochar straight in your compost too. That works quite well. So a lot of people do that.
Yes. Have you been doing that as well?
We've done a couple of three or four Johnson & Sue bioreactors.
Oh yeah.
You know what they are?
I do, but can you explain to our listeners what they are, please?
So he does a circle, but we use a pallet, and you drill 9 holes in it, 125 mil holes evenly across 3 rows of 3. And then I get a sheet of reinforcing mesh, which are, I think they're 36 long and 2 meters wide. And I bend them right around the pallet. So you've got a big square box. And then I line the whole thing with weed mat.
Oh, yes.
And then you put your 9 125 mil pipes upright, and then you mix up all your brew, which is sawdust, grass, horse poo. We use quite a bit of, work quite well, gets good fungus in that. But I've just used sheep manure since I've been here, but the first one was down when we were down in Pookie before we came up here. We made a couple. And then we just mix it all up on a big concrete pad with a front end loader, and then we just wet it all down, of course, and then load it in, and then set it up with a watering system. So sort of water it 1 minute a day usually. And then once it's done its heat up and it's cooled down, which takes a few weeks, we add worms, and then you give it 12 months with just a minute a day with the water just misting on top. And it just turns into beautiful compost. Good system.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, you've got to pull, sorry, after it's all settled, after a few days, you pull your pipes out, and that just lets air go right through.
Okay, I was going to ask about that. I was going to ask if you had drilled lots of holes in the pipes, because that's what I've seen done. So you just pull the pipe out and leave a hole, a natural hole. Yeah,
but I don't know that you actually need holes in the pipes. Once you pull the pipes out, I think David Johnson, he just pulls them straight out once it's, gives it a day and pulls it out. So anyway, we've drilled holes. He told us to, so we did. Yeah, I've got to make another couple actually. I've just finished one. So I also want to do some windrows, in which case I'll be putting biochar into those too. But that's just, I bought myself an old silerator and a basket, but I haven't gotten anywhere near fixing it. We've got that many other jobs to do. So yeah.
What's your process then to make a compost tea extract?
So the last thing I put into the biology sprayer, we have a basket that goes in the top, and we fill that with compost. And this whole centrifugal, and it's boiling pretty much the whole time it's running. And it just dilutes all and just takes all that compost and you're just left with the lumps basically. So actually I just put them back in the next bioreactor. The first lot we did with wood chips, and it was too big. We've now used sawdust, and it's much better. Because the wood chips 2 years later were still there.
Yeah.
They had broken down,
Okay, so the basket that sits inside the tank, does that have lots of little holes in it?
Yes.
Okay. What size are they about?
We started off, they were far too small. 5 mil holes drilled in it. Could be a little bit bigger. And there could be more of them.
And how many litres of compost are you putting in approximately?
Probably 10 actually, to be honest. We actually got to the point where we were running out, so we started reducing it. So like as time got by, we started running out of compost, so we were down to sort of 5 litres towards the end, which actually mixed through a lot easier, I must say.
Okay.
Just so we got something in there, but we've actually run out completely now, so it's just we've only just finished, actually. We've done the whole farm for the first time. Spring through to now, it's taken quite a while.
Is that towed behind a quad bike?
No, we've towed behind a ute.
Oh, yeah.
Probably need to be towing it behind a small tractor so we can get over a bit more country, but anyway, currently we're just using the Hilux, which I must say I got in the other day and it smelled a little bit fishy.
Got to do it when it's not windy.
Fish hydrolysate, it's great stuff.
Yeah. Okay, and what sort of response have you seen in your pastures?
Oh, definite response. You can see it. You can see it happen. Quite interesting, actually. You see the colour change. You can see the lift. We tried making, there's a tea you make, which definitely lifted the bricks straight away. It's a lucerne tea. The trouble is you buy this lucerne, it's all blooming treated. And you don't want it treated. You want it organic.
Yeah.
So, which is a nuisance. It's hard to get the organic stuff. If anyone knows, let me know.
But what is it exactly? Is it just lucerne?
Stimulates the sugars in the grass. Like one thing we were reading is they're actually spraying the pasture and then putting the lambs in the next day, and the bricks jumps like several points. So, and then the lambs are into it, But anyway, I made that up, but it only lasts a few days, so then I'll try and put it into the brew basically to get rid of it because I had too much of it. I'd make a 200-litre drum of it. So it's only a couple of slices of lucerne, and then fill it up with water and then bubble it for a couple of days.
Okay.
And then use it.
Yeah.
Too many projects on it at a time, Dylan.
Okay. Oh, but I mean, that's what makes farming interesting and fun. If you're just doing the same thing all the time, it must get boring and drudgery.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm a great believer of weed tea, where you get a variety of different plant material and you ferment that and let the nutrients in that become water soluble. Then you spray that out, and then the plants will take up a whole lot of that nutrient.
Yep, that is another thing. I'll watch people doing that online.
Yeah. All right, that's great. That's great. You're doing your compost and you're spraying out and playing around with the biochar as well. I'm a great believer in the biochar. I did a paper on the biochar improving the whole composting process, and then I've done a paper on biochar being really good for dairy animals. You're just using the biochar for beef cattle, right?
Yeah, we just beef, yeah. Sheep and beef, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. The old ewes have a bit of a gnaw on it, some of them. You see them sticking their head in and having a chew.
Okay.
They might be chasing that or they might be chasing the salt, I'm not sure. But anyway, we put it all together. And yeah, because we do like we're sort of mob stock, so we'll put cows and calves and ewes in one mob, and they just rotate. So try and get as big a mob as possible. Try and chew the paddock out as fast as possible. Mind you, we've got some pretty huge paddocks here, so not always. We try and do maximum of 2 days in a paddock, but it doesn't always work.
Yeah.
We're slowly getting a bit more subdivision happening, and then we can just move around the paddock, So lambs and steers out the front and ewes and cows in behind.
Nice.
Which is working. You can see the pasture improve.
Yeah. And I'm guessing it's too early to see any improvements in the animal health from the biochar yet.
It's hard to measure, when you're just sort of giving them a bit,
Yeah. I've heard and seen and read that over time, your drenching would probably become less. You won't need to drench as many animals or as often is what I believe the biochar is going to be doing for the animals.
Yep.
Is that kind of what you're hoping for, or you're just kind of using them as a distribution mechanism?
Like we're drenching less anyway with the long rotation.
Okay.
Because it's kind of breaking the worm cycle. Plus we've got the young animals, then the older animals cleaning up.
Yeah.
Plus we're doing Wiltshires. This is our last year. We'll get rid of the last couple of hundred woolly sheep, and heaps of them have got fly on this summer. We hardly get any fly last year, but the summer with the rain, humidity's so high. We got the lambs in the other day and we had 30 with fly.
Oh no.
So that'll be the last of them, but the Wiltshires seem good. We don't have any fly in them at all, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I've just changed to Wiltshires as well this season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure why we still have woolly sheep left, really. I mean, a few boutique producers, sure, but I mean, the maintenance and the costs of sharing is just crazy.
Well, our first season there, we had 1,800 ewes, which was far too many. And then we had 170% lambing, so we had almost 3,000 lambs. And it cost us $18,500 to share. We got $6,500 for the wool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Point, I thought, this is completely nuts. Why on earth are we doing this? And then you got to crack them, you got to spray them, you got to drench them. It's just ludicrous. So,
was it easy enough to get that many replacement Wiltshires?
No, it's taken time. We've just put Wiltshire rams over, but that takes ages. We've mostly bought in. But last summer, when there was a bit of a drought, I went down to the Tickawitty sale and bought a bunch. And it wasn't too bad. It cost us about $80 to swap out.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, we bought mixed age. Was looking at them now. They're probably the ones someone else's culls. So, the feet aren't the best in some of them. So we'll just work on culling them. Yeah. Just keep breeding away at it. It's all right. We bought some good rams this year from Kahu Genetics. So we'll give those a crack this year.
Right. Yeah, I don't know too much about the Wiltshires and their drenching needs, but I'm hoping that they're also a little bit more of a hardy sheep where they can just put up with the parasites and it doesn't cause them too much issue, but I'm not sure yet. I mean, we're using garlic and vinegar as our drench, so hopefully that's going to be enough. Yeah.
You getting a result with that, you think? Like, do you do feed leg counts before and after or anything?
No, I'm too small scale to do all that kind of thing. I'm just kind of really watching them closely, and we've far understocked, so I think there's less of a parasite burden. They're not picking it up in the grass that much because there's so much pasture for them. It's so long, it's not short at all. So
yeah.
I think we're naturally not going to have an issue. But I just give them, I mean, the vinegar and the garlic is kind of a tonic anyhow, just, like you might take a shot of vinegar yourself or something if you're not feeling 100% or just want a little boost. Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to chat about today?
No, I think that'll about do. I think, I better go and I've got people waiting for me about now, so I better go do it.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. It was a nice conversation, and great to hear what you're doing. And like I say, when you do get that kiln working with the wood vinegar. It'd be really cool if you could share that around. Do you have an online presence? Do you have a website or a Facebook page or anything about what you're doing on your farm?
Jake was playing with a while ago, but I don't know if he's still doing it with Instagram. But
How old is your son?
He's 36 this year.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So he'll be au fait with all the social media and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they can do that. I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
Kaipara Coast Farms, I think he calls it.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much, Gerard. You have a great day.
Yep.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.